Hi, I'm Ryan Hunter, and this is Kalispell Connections, a program where I interview local community leaders about issues important to the community. And today we have with us Chris Krager, the Executive Director of the Samaritan House, our local homeless shelter. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So last night, the City Council voted to approve this temporary shelter for the unhoused during this COVID-19 crisis. I was very happy to support that and vote for it. Um, could you tell us a little bit about this project? How the shelter is going to function first, but also why it's important that we have a shelter for the unhoused during this time,
Yeah.
this crisis.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Good question. The uh, the need for a location for unsheltered folks, homeless folks that have no place to go, is kind of underlined during the shelter in place time period because places that they would normally go, the library or restaurants to use a restroom or to spend their time, they're all closed. So um, different communities have different approaches as far as how to create a space for this to happen. Governor Bullock, in the Q&A time of one of his press conferences, he referenced encouraging folks to help create a place for shelter in place for homeless folks, and so that's what we're doing. We have, fortunately, a space that we can use at the Samaritan House Administrative Center, the former U.S. Army Reserve Center. And we've been able to, in collaboration with the hospital and the health department and lots of other organizations, all come together in a sort of collaborative effort. It feels really good to do it that way as well. Um, and I thought it was really interesting. Our first day of operating yesterday, we had 17 clients, and the intake process includes also health screening, looking for signs and symptoms of the virus. And after we got all through that, I noticed a lot of the clients were just exhausted and went to sleep. And it just kind of was a reminder for me, just wow, that is a struggle. And to see them finally have a place where they can be and exhale and get some rest is really, I think, what this collaborative effort's all about.
Mhm. And it's set up that if you do have somebody who tests positive or comes down with the virus, that there's an isolation for them and separation from the rest of the population. Is that correct?
Yes, we have also created two sort of quarantine areas. Hopefully we don't need them, but if anybody's showing signs and symptoms, we can separate and have health folks kind of observe them. And so yeah, it's also sort of, I think they find that creating a location for shelter in place for homeless folks is also a really great effort to help flatten the curve, just to eliminate those potential virus spread scenarios.
Mhm. And could you speak a little bit to this collaborative process that brought this together? I want to give a shout out to my colleague on the city council, Kyle Waterman, who chaired the effort. But there were a lot of folks involved and really
Yeah.
came together to make this happen.
Yeah, it's so great. I think all together on the collaborative committee, we have maybe up to 30 people involved in planning and working it out. Kyle Waterman, on the Kalispell City Council, your colleague, has chaired this project for us. We've also had great help from Frank Garner and Flathead Warming Center, Community Action Partnership. Salvation Army is doing our meals Monday through Friday. Um, uh, Geez, so many folks, the health department and and just the folks really pitching in and helping it. It's inspiring because it could be it's a brave move to volunteer and help put this thing together. We don't know, the virus. Hopefully it leaves town. I'll be ready for that to happen for sure. But
Yeah,
it's
homeless.
it's
Yeah.
a lot of people, I all pulling together to make it happen.
Mhm. And can you speak a little bit to, just the general picture in our community regarding homelessness? We have a certain homeless population size and the capacity for shelters for those folks. What does that look like? Just not just exclusively with this crisis, but generally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Homelessness in Flathead County has some really specific, peculiar characteristics that make it very interesting to study. In 2019, the annual homeless survey showed 58% of the people surveyed were unsheltered. And in fact, that's the largest percentage of unsheltered people across the whole state. So it kind of also underlines the importance of this project. But we typically survey and see around 230 to 275 homeless people in Flathead County. And shelter capacities aren't anywhere near that. Samaritan House, Flathead Warming Center, Ray of Hope, and all the other organizations that help out. I think all together, if we were standing on our tippy toes, we would be able to shelter 100, 120 people. So, shelters are typically full, and so we're always trying to squeeze more capacity.
Mhm, mhm. What does the long-term picture look like in terms of addressing this issue of the homeless population? I view it as a moral failing. We have to provide basic shelter needs for our residents, no matter their circumstances. And I would like to see our community come together. I think it's possible. I think we can come together and provide that basic shelter need. What do you see as to how might we go about addressing it? What is the need that we need to step forward with moving forward in the future for the long term?
Yeah, very interesting question. And just yeah, thank you for that too. Just seeing it as a moral issue is sort of a paradigm shift that a lot of folks are probably in need of. Um, this project particularly points out to me um, it'll be very interesting. I think it's been a lot of work pulling together this temporary shelter, but it also points out that we can fix it. Like we can shelter the people, we can take care of it. It's going to take some extra work, kind of like what we're doing now. But for this week, I think we've created capacity that we need to be able to serve it. So the question is, can we keep up this amount of collaborative effort? Can we keep up this amount of work and address it properly? I do honestly believe homelessness is solvable, but it's going to take this amount of work and this kind of collaboration. We in the Flathead County have a shortage of affordable housing options, and so that's something in the long-term picture that will need to be addressed. But right now, I think we can continue this work and try to increase capacity. And sometimes also on a case-by-case basis. There are some really inspiring people in town that are, Cassidy Kipp at Community Action Partnership I always introduce her as the smartest person in the room. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
she has some ideas, and there are people like that have come out of the woodwork. Yourself and city council, it's really inspiring to see the level of discussion about homelessness in this area at the government level that we never had before. And so it's really exciting to have conversation about it now. So we're probably gonna see some progress.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think one of the important things to note too is that homelessness can happen to anybody. Really, it's a matter of housing, it's a matter of economics, and we're going to face, maybe you can speak to this, but the economic crisis that's going to stem from this. There's going to be a lot of folks hurting, a lot of folks struggling to pay rent and stay in housing. We may see an increase in the homeless population.
Yeah, we may see it. We may see it in waves that come like 1 or 2 months from now. When finally, some hard times are hitting financially. Reserves are gone, and what else is there to do?
Right.
Homelessness in Flathead County is as Flathead County goes. And every time we have a financial crisis, we do see a wave of folks that have become homeless as a result of that. Every time there's a layoff at a large employer, or every time there's an economic downturn, the housing crunch in 08, 09, you know, that resulted in faces coming in the door at the shelter that are homeless as a result of those situations. So it will happen. It has started, and it probably will have a wave or two that we see.
Mhm. Well, hopefully the positive coming out of this crisis, or one of the few positives with all the negatives, is that we have shown that it is possible to provide additional shelter for our homeless, and we do have now a group, a collaborative group that's come together to provide a solution. So hopefully moving forward, we have a model now to make it happen long term, and to show that it's possible.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you taking the time to
Uh,
speak with us.
uh,
And thank you for all your work at the Samaritan House and getting the shelter up and running. And I hope it's a success and provides the safety that those folks need.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.